Yeah, hey. Tobago updates. Na, 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 na. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. And viewers, just before we get into our second conversation for this morning, I just want to let you know about Papa B's Inn. And they are one of the premier guest houses here in Tobago, I should say. And they are located at Scipio Trace in Canby, and they are outfitted with a minibar, pool. They have a massage and salon station set up for you. Their rooms are air conditioned, and of course, you got Wi-Fi amongst many other things. And they've got several packages, including $700 per night per couple, $1,000 per night per family, and $600 for a single stay. So, and they've got lunches and breakfasts available. So, if you are interested, please get connected with them by contacting 631-0838 or 768-77212, sorry. And they're of course on Facebook and Instagram, or you can email them at papabtobago, tobagoblackman@gmail.com. All right, viewers, so moving on to our conversation for this morning, we are being joined by Mr. Anthony James, a political activist, I should say. Yeah, political, of course. But today we are speaking about a situation where you are being victimized in your position at the electoral inspectorate.
Electrical.
Yes.
Electrical.
Electrical inspectorate, sorry. So can you just give us an idea of what's been happening with you there?
Yeah, well, I'm due for mandatory retirement on you can see the 25th of November this year. My birthday is on the 26th, and you can't work until the 26th. You have to work up to a day before. But the background to what is taking place is the fact that I've been the only inspector for the longest time. The last time I returned from vacation leave would have been on the 11th of January in 2017. It's a long time. And I don't really take holidays like that. Right? So I wait until my maximum and then I take holidays. I would have reached my maximum 90 days on September the 6th in 2019. However, formerly the senior inspector would have proceeded on pre-retirement leave. I think it was May, and then May in 2019, and then retired in June of 2019. So I would have been the only inspector. But then on the establishment, there are 3 electrical inspectors. The other inspector would have been the junior inspector, was on suspension. So when the senior inspector left, he would have left myself alone as the functioning inspector. So from there on, I could not proceed on any leave because there was nobody to replace me. And so that when my 90 days would have been met, the division could not have allowed me to proceed on leave. And so that the administrator then did the responsible thing and wrote to the chief administrator to allow my leave to accumulate beyond the 90 days. And she wrote, because of the exigency of the situation. I did not represent myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not me to represent myself. It would have been the administrator who I'm accountable to represent me. And not just represent me, but represent the needs and the concerns and so on. Because we provide a service to the entire population. And then she had to be responsible. So she did the responsible thing. And so that the inspector who was on suspension, and because since that time I can't take a day off, you know what I'm saying? Because if I do, then the operations of the electrical inspectorate possibly becomes illegal. You must have a head. So I couldn't take any sick leave, any casual and much less vacation. I couldn't take that. So I've been laboring for all those years from 2017, but then the situation become critical or of an emergency nature when the next inspector leave, and I was the only inspector remaining on the job, so I couldn't go anywhere. That's the situation. And so that the division retained me and detained me, and in that sense they rented my own property, because my vacation leave is my property. It's not anybody else. It's not theirs. It's mine, and they rented it. And the other inspector came back in January last year, 2022. And because he was on interdiction for such a long time, his leave, vacation leave, would have piled up. And so then he had to go in July last year. And what's happening now, a new HR person, of course, we have a new administration in Tobago. We now have this current administration. And there's a new HR person came in just around October, somewhere around there last year. And as and then in May, that person supposedly, because what is happening in the House Assembly there, is that people are taking on, in my judgment, the under or subordinate officers, especially HR, accounting, and those things. They are taking on the power of the administrator, because they have access to the letterhead, they have access to the stamp, and they have access to the title. And so that they are writing and put a little scribble and put 4. They're signing above the title of administrator, put a little scribble and put 4 for administrator. Many times the administrator doesn't know what is going on.
And is it that you? I know you alleged that there was something happening where the HR or officers within the divisions, not just at works, but throughout, are doing things.
Yeah, well, I will get there. I will get there. But so let me flow.
Yes.
Right. So that person brought a letter for me on May the 16th. Right. I don't know that she has that authority, because I'm not working under her. I'm not working with the HR department, and I'm not under the HR department. And the HR department is not over anybody but their own staff. The head of HR, they have their own staff, and that's the only people they in control. I'm working. I'm a supervisor. I'm the electrical inspector, the head electrical inspector, and I'm accounting to the administrator only. After that, I account to the chief administrator. And so she brought that letter for me and asking me to sign. Obviously, I didn't sign the letter, but I said you can leave it there because I want to see what is going on. But what is critical to that is that the letter is claiming that I am to go on all eligible vacation leave imminent upon my retirement on the 26th of November this year. Right? So that is in the first paragraph. And in keeping with that, in the second paragraph, the letter now is alleging that all the eligible leave I'm entitled to is 90 days, and which will commence on July the 18th, which is next Tuesday. Well, obviously that is wrong, because I have not proceeded on vacation leave from since 2017. What the officer did really is to rule out all the other leave. So the 90 days was obtained on the 6th of September in 2019. And what she's saying is that all other leave after, I did not earn them, because I didn't apply 30 days before that initial 90 days. So whatever the administrator did, this subordinate officer is cancelling out everything and signing for the administrator. But the administrator is a continuous office that doesn't sleep. It is the very office of the administrator who is responsible for the affairs and who wrote requesting of the chief administrator to allow my leave to accumulate because of the exigencies of the situation. And leave earned cannot be forfeited. That's a regulation. Also, leave earned cannot be forfeited. I did not create the situation, and any 30 days thing doesn't disqualify you from anything.
Yeah.
That is only a matter of procedure. It's procedural, so that for things to flow properly, and it is their responsibility to inform on those things. But crucially, I was in a meeting with her, and she hid 2 letters from me purposefully.
Have you reached out to the administrator about this?
Of course, when I spoke to the administrator, he didn't know. When I spoke to the administrator initially, he did not know what was going on, and clearly involved in this matter is the secretary for the division. There's not 2 ways about
Yeah,
it.
it's getting there.
The secretary for the division, what the division is compromised, and I suppose many other divisions in Tobago also compromised because the secretaries are overriding their responsibility, trying to micromanage the divisions, and they are bypassing the administrator. If they suspect too that they can't get the way with the administrator, they go past the administrator and do what they have to do. Is if they have an accomplice, a willing participant to carry out their deeds. But what is instructive?
No, but before we get there though, but what evidence do you have to support that claim that that the secretary is getting involved?
But here the thing. Here the thing. Since last year, you see, the junior inspector who departed is also a Pollard. In fact, the junior officer that departed came back to the office on August the 8th. That's last year. Now, I would have signed his pre-retirement leave to proceed on pre-retirement until the 30th of this month, from last year to this year. And after I signed the pre-retirement leave for him to commence on July 6 or 7, somewhere around there. Lo and behold, on August the 8th, I came to the office and I saw the officer back there. And I questioned him, what was he doing here? He said he got a letter. We couldn't produce the letter. I said, well, the last documentation I know about you, I signed your pre-retirement leave. And so that he went upstairs and he called the HR. When the HR person come down, she said, Mr. James, well, the secretary, you know what I'm saying? The secretary and the administrator cook up the thing. I'm paraphrasing here. And so on. So I said, I want documentation. You can't come back. So further investigation now, I realized that after I signed the pre-retirement leave, the officer came back and got another person to sign over a different leave and say that he gone on vacation leave for a month. Who made the call? Nobody contacted me. The administrator then isn't from here. He doesn't know the officer, but Pollard and Pollard know each other. And when you delve further into the issue, you see now the back and forth and so on, and you're seeing the secretary's name in the correspondence. I have the information. The secretary's name is appearing several times. He is in conversation with the junior inspector. What is a secretary doing in conversation towards bringing back a junior officer to work? The junior officer gone, the senior officer is there. The duty and responsibility of the division now is to recruit other inspectors, not to bring back somebody and prevent people from moving up. Now, as the other thing with that is that compensation for leave and so on in technical areas is really for the head of the department, the head of the section, which is me. He's the other officer, is not the head of the section. Is to bring in the other junior officers to train. But the situation was left like that because the rumor was going around right inside the office there, because people, when you tell people things, they don't keep it. They say, well, he'll be coming back on contract, and James, he wouldn't get any contract because James is back talking Valley. So
right.
the time has now come now for them now to implement the plan. So it remains up to this day. Even since last year too, I recommended I had a guy from Works, because that has been a tradition, who is assisting me and understudying me. I recommended the officer to the admin And I did not as much as receive an acknowledgement, because that now should have gone to the Service Commission and so on. But nothing happened. The situation remains right now as it is.
Okay. Well, we're going to pause there. We're going to continue this conversation, but we have to take a quick break first, Mr. James. So, viewers, don't go anywhere.
Passion start to rise. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Kandace and Denise. Let's go.
Morning, Tobago. On Tobago Updates, viewers, we are continuing our conversation with Mr. Anthony James, who is claiming that there is some nepotism happening within the THA, specifically at the Electoral Inspectorate. Electrical Inspectorate, sorry. I keep messing that word up. But yes, specifically at the Electrical Inspectorate. I mean, and Mr. James, now you are due to retire in November.
Yeah.
So why should this happen now?
Well, for more than one reason. One is those who are desirous of coming in can't wait.
Not even a few months.
They can't wait. And they don't want me to be paid also for my leave. But the government has utilized my leave. They rented it. And what they're really claiming is that even today, tomorrow, last week, whilst I'm working, I'm not earning any leave. As a matter of fact, from since the 7th of September in 2019, I'm just working like a chattel slave. I'm not earning any leave. I'm not entitled to any leave. So says the HR who made that decision. HR is not irresponsible for running any division. They're not the administrator. You follow what I'm saying?
But I mean, how can that be possible? Because under the laws, you are entitled to your leave, especially being in such a senior position that you are.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Why?
Well, it's mind-boggling, really. You know what I mean? But it's absolute stupidity. You know what I mean? Because we don't have to go into any complications to work that out. That is just absolute nonsense. I will be paid. I'm not afraid of that. I'll be paid. It's just a matter of when. But you have to look at the intent behind it, right? The malice and so on. So that they want me to commence because it's how they are framing their case. I have an initial 90 days. I earn nothing after. I know the pettiness that involves in Tobago. It's surprising, actually, that people actually don't want you to be compensated for what you have done legitimately and so on, so that the government can use you and don't pay you. That's madness. You follow what I'm saying? It's not good industrial practice. It's not good employment practice. The government is an employer. It's not good employment. It's not good managerial practice. So that's nonsense, really. Right? And I'm saying it's not the administrator that did that. I want to make that very clear. But his office was used. The office was used, and the office was assumed by the HR person. Right? So they want to make the case so that they send me on that 90 days. And that 90 days, when I checked it myself, really begins on the 18th. So what happens on the 18th? Because there's no other inspector. So what happens on the 18th? So clearly, they have to bring back. That's the plan from a long time. It was being choreographed from a long time. Is to bring back the junior inspector. And if you bring back the junior inspector, you have to pay him. Now he retires on the 29th or 30th, whatever it is. His birthday is on the 30th of July. So if he work there, there's a 10-day period where he has to work. And if he work there, he has to be compensated for that leave. This is not a rum shot we're running here. He has to be compensated. So you're going to compensate the junior, but you won't compensate me. Who? I am the senior. You won't compensate me, but you will compensate that person. You can't claim so that the person will come and work for free. So if a person has gone out of the system and departed, you will bring them back. I'm the senior person and I'm still available. I am available until November the 26th, or call it the 25th if you like. My birthday is on the 26th. And I want to say, I have no problem, as I told the administrator. I say I can go now. Give me a commitment that you're going to pay for the rest of the leave. As I've done my time, that is up to all you. If you want to give me 90 out of it to go, I'm fine with that. But pay me, give me the commitment that you're going to pay for the rest of the leave. But he can't make the commitment. And so on. I don't want to review too much about it. The administrator is a lovely person and so on. But the
HR?
not the HR. All this is being made possible because of the Pollards, the senior Pollard. This was going on. So I even told him that. I said, you have no power here.
So when you approached him about the issue, what was his response?
Well, as I said, when I first approached the admin didn't know. So he told me to document everything. Right? And subsequently, when we chatted again, I realized that he was under pressure. He was under pressure from above. I didn't go into too much of the details, but I did as much as say to him that I realized that you really can't do anything here because the situation above you. And you see, and this is why you see in life here, one has to walk with God and be strong. As I said last night, promotion comes not from the east, not from the west, nor to the south. Promotion comes from God. And Paul instructed Timothy in letter to him because there was corruption even in the church. Paul instructed Timothy was a young minister. He says, be not partakers of other men's sins. I'm talking to all administrators and supervisors there because you're going to have corrupt secretaries, politicians, and so on. Paul is saying, be not partakers of other men's sins, but rather keep yourself pure. This is for the chief administrator, all administrators, you're in positions of influence and authority. Don't let anybody, we don't work for ourselves. We work for God. You follow what I'm saying? So, but let us deal with that window from the 18th to the 28th. The 28th is a Friday. What happens? Clearly, the plan is because I chatted with the chief electrical inspector, right? And he said nobody from the THA has called him. Chief electrical inspector is in Trinidad. Nobody has called him. And thereafter, so they have to fill that pocket. They can't fool me. I know the plan from a long time. And after the 28th, what happens? What happens? He is now 60 on the 30th. But I am still available because I'll be 60 in November. What happens? So the plan was put him on contract after that. So you'll have a man on contract, but you have a public servant available. You follow what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense by any stretch of the imagination. But more than that, the Electricity Inspection Act, Chapter 54, 72, Section 3 says that all electrical inspectors must come from the public service. The electrical inspectorate is established within the walls, the parameters of the public service. Anything different from that is illegal. You have to go to parliament, you have to create new laws, or you're operating illegally. I said in all of this. So it's clearly a crazy plan. And now I understood yesterday that an electrician who scheduled a job for the 31st, that's the Monday after the 30th. 30th is a Sunday. An electrician who scheduled an emergency job that we call disconnection, reconnection, informed me now that the secretary was in conversation with his client somewhere in Canaan in the back road down there. The secretary was in conversation. That's what the electrician told me. He's get the job and he has a date for the 31st. And the owner was wondering, well, who will come? And this is what was reported to me, that the secretary told him that if it's the 31st, well, it will be Mr. Pollard who is coming. So clearly, you see how things unfold, which means they plan to put Mr. Pollard, that's the Inspector Pollard. Well, he's no longer inspector because he's out of the public service. He cannot be called an inspector. He cannot be called an inspector because he's out of the public service. See?
Now, is this
he now will be now on contract, but they're looking for jail and so on because sometimes the devil could blind you. I chatted with the chief electrical inspector who says that can happen. So I don't know what they plan to do. In fact, well, let me just say something else. The letter or the letters that were hidden from me, that they refused to show me. In the meantime, the same HR person wrote concerning my accumulation to the chief administrator. That letter was dated the 11th of May, 2023, and the response coming back from the office of the chief administrator was on the 9th of May. Let me repeat that because some people may miss it. The letter leaving the HR, leaving the administrator or the administrator's office, the HR person presumably signed for the administrator. Administrator, you know not, signed for the administrator, and that letter was dated the 11th of May. But the response from the chief administrator, cancelling out all my leave, cancelling it out, came back on the 9th. It's a miracle that you could write on the 11th and the response came on the 9th, 2 days before. It's just absolutely amazing. What is clear here is that the secretary is presiding all over this, debacle here. You just had a situation where you couldn't have a smooth transition to the office of chief administrator. You're having a next one here again. There are some people who really fit for the caveman age and so on, and really should not be in charge of any ministry or division and so on. Totally unfit. I'm totally unfit for office. And if I were the chief secretary, I would have fired him. And there would have been an investigation into the HR, because there are other things, which I wouldn't have the time to go into today. But that's what's been going on. You're having people in lower positions. And the response from the chief act, mind you, the chief act didn't sign that, Is somebody from the HR department attached to chief act signed for. So the HR people have their own network. And
so in other words, fraud seems to be infiltrating the Tobago House of Assembly at this point in time.
Well, the lawyers will give you the legal
certainly, and we're looking forward to that.
And interpretation as to what really is taking place. But clearly there is underhand business taking place and people stepping up into office. That it's a whole mess, really.
All right. Well, viewers, this is certainly a discussion that we're going to take us forward. We're going to look into this and see where this goes, because it is some serious allegations coming from Mr. James. And yeah, we hope for a resolve. And if it is true, we hope that it can be dealt with in the quickest manner. All right, viewers, so thank you for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure being with you, and we hope you have a safe and wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. And don't forget, brunch is up next.
The energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.